Ladies and gentlemen, rock fans from all around the world, welcome to another episode of Musical People and Journeys. It's a special one because we have Marisa Rodriguez from Marisa And The Moths. Did I pronounce that correctly, Marisa? That's better.
You did.
Thank you
that was
very
great.
much. Okay, so welcome to the show, Marisa. Thank you very much for joining us. So the story goes, one of the reasons we haven't reviewed your album, and I goddamn wish we had. Let me just put that out there, because I hadn't heard you. I listened to your album for the first time yesterday, and bang, instantly cursed. Cool songs on my cool songs list. Absolutely, and again, like, wow, what a voice. What a voice. Blew me away.
You.
Absolutely fantastic. So I wish we had reviewed your album, because I guarantee it probably might well have been into our top 20 albums of the year. It was that good. So the story goes that Trish saw you live. Trish, tell the story. How did you meet Marisa?
Just listened to the album and saw that they were playing live and at Portsmouth, and I invited Lauren to come with me for a Mama Trish night out, and it was amazing. Blew us away really. There was a special moment. I can't remember what song it was now, but Lauren and I held hands. It was quite emotional song, I think, that was quite personal to Marisa as well, so then I was just like, oh, I'll reach out, see if she wants to do an interview, and hey, here we are.
So Marisa, tell us a bit about how would you describe your music, Marisa? I mean, you say on your band alt rock, heavy rock. It's a bit more than that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so just before we move on, before I forget, Trish, I think it was If You Knew that you're talking about, because I think you spoke to me afterwards. I think you mentioned it. But yeah, that's the song, because I played it acoustically that night.
Yeah, you did.
So, our band, it's been really hard to kind of figure out how to describe it. When we first started out, we used to say that we were grunge influenced or 90s influenced alternative rock, melodic rock or hard rock. But with blues influences as well, which actually, as we progressed into the band that we've become, it feels like that's not the right way of describing us at all. And actually, when we were saying grunge influenced bands, we were a grunge influenced band, people were taking that as, oh, you must sound like Nirvana, and they went just straight to that point, and that's not what we meant at all. We were kind of referring to bands like sort of Soundgarden and sort of melodic bands of that time that weren't kind of Kurt Cobain. Anyway, it wasn't really the right describing genre for us, so we kind of were just like, do you know what is rock music anyway, right? It's just music with guitars, and then there are all of these different subgenres. I think if you listen to us, you listen to my voice, you could probably say that, right, I have a melodic voice and it's quite soulful, but then I could do some screaming sometimes as well. And then we've got heavy moments in the music, as well as these stripped back, really sort of personal moments. So sometimes it's just me and a guitar and me and piano, and what does that really fit into? I don't know. I feel like the songs come as they are, and then they get kind of dressed up in the way that best suits them. But we all come from a rock background in different ways, so all of our kind of like playing styles probably influence the finished product kind of thing. I think that was the worst explanation ever in the entire world.
Well, no, it's not, but sorry, you said come as they are, and instantly Nirvana is hitting me in the head.
Naughty Nigel, naughty.
No, so it's not, because like we were talking about, there was two songs for me off your album, Cursed being the first song, which kind of just went, oh my god, that's so good, and for me, Pedestal, I think was just outstanding as a track. Now, however, Trish, what was your favourite track off the album? Was it Scepter or something, wasn't it?
No, Straight Laced.
Straight Laced. So Straight Laced. I don't know where Scepter come from. So I listened back to Straight Laced again, and I went to myself, because it's quite a slow track, and I'm going like, Oh, it's quite interesting that you said blues, because it almost had like, well, it wasn't country, but it had that country influence, that kind of country rock influence in terms of like your voice, and almost Taylor Swifty when she does that sort of rock kind of genre. So I think your music does encapsulate a broad spectrum of different types of rock music, if you like, and which basically means I love variety in an album. When I'm listening to an album, I do like variety. But the sound was just absolutely gorgeous. How did it all start from you then, Marisa? Where did you're very young, obviously. So
well, thank you.
You're not young. I don't want to say so. Back to artists. How did it all start? How long has Marisa and the Moths been going, and where did it all start?
So I actually started writing the first songs when I was in my previous project around 2016 to 2017. So I was just like sort of playing with some ideas and didn't pursue it too much. I did try and meet up with some musicians to see if it could start to be a band thing, because I was really like driven by these songs, and I knew there was something there, but I was finding my feet with it, if that makes sense. But I knew that I kind of had finally found my voice as a songwriter as well, because I think up until that point I've been trying stuff and it was a bit too varied and a bit too, well, where is this going? Where's the direction? Whereas when I started writing for the Moths project, it was like, this is it for me. This is what I'm meant to do. So then I tried a few different band members. It didn't work out. But then Liam got involved, and he just said, at the time, we've been mates for a few years. Liam is my bass player, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know who Liam is. If you come to one of our shows, you will quickly find out who he is. He's hard to forget, the peacock of our band. But yeah, so he joined the project and was helping me out, and he can play guitar and bass. So it was like, look, I wasn't very good at guitar in any sense at the time. I was just using it as a tool to write. So he said that I'll help you record whatever parts that I physically can. And I just said, fine, that's great. I'm going to just call in favors from whoever I can to get this done around that, because I'm not waiting around anymore for a band to appear, because I kind of had tried and failed, not just with that project starting, but a few times over before, and I just felt like maybe no one really believed that I could do rock music because of the way that my voice sounded. Like maybe it was too too sweet sounding, and at the time I definitely couldn't do any of the screamy stuff. That's something that came later with the work I kind of put in. So I was just like, right, I'm going to build it and they will come. We started recording the first album in 2017. And then that whole process of recording that first album was kind of how the first lineup came together. And there was some real like, oh my God, this must be fate moments at the time, where example of this is Chris Merton, who was the other lead guitarist with Sophie Lloyd. We were going on our first band day out to Winter Wonderland in London. And it was snowing. Right. How often does it snow in the UK, for one? Right. That was just weird, number one. And we were all going to get a train. So me and Jason, the ex-drummer, were at the train station and chatting about who should we get in to be the second lead guitarist, because at the time I wasn't confident enough to play and sing live. And I said, oh, my friend Chris, I used to teach singing at this rock project thing with him. And I know that he's not in anything at the moment. I think he'd be really good. And I got a bit of pushback because he said he wanted his mate to come do it. And I said, well, why don't we just audition both of them? But our train then got delayed. So I said, right, let's just go over the road to the pub and just get hot drinks, stay warm for a minute while we're waiting for the next one. And I'd never been in that pub in my life, right? And I lived in Bracknell for a few years, which is where we got the train from. We walk in there and Chris is sat there with his girlfriend.
Wow.
And I was like, I looked at Jason and I was kind of smirking, because I was like, that was fate, and also I kind of won this argument at the time. And he was like the final missing piece, and the first few years of the band, it was, well, I'll say the first few years, it was like first few years for us, but we released in 2019. The first single was in September. Then the album came out in November of that year. We were getting into the proper longer stretch of our album release tour, and then lockdown hit, and then the lineup changed a couple of times through lockdown whilst everything was kind of settling, and some things changed, and now, well, we came out of lockdown and now we're here, I guess, with the second album and a new lineup. But yeah, I mean, it's been a journey, and we've learned some things, but I really feel like it really helped us to grow as well. Like I one of my lyrics is never broken, never moved. And I feel like you can apply that to so many things. And I feel like our band is an example of that. But genuinely, I feel like we're in a better place than we were at the start. So hopefully that continues.
So how, because your voice is pretty fantastic. Were you always, when you were growing up, were you always going to like hit the karaoke? Were you always going to like be a singer? Is that something that you aspired to as you kind of grew up? And were you influenced by your parents in any way?
So you couldn't stop me singing pretty much as a kid, to my mum's dismay, because I was not good. Everyone thinks that, I think you are either born with a good ear or not, but singing, you literally have to use muscles to sing, and it does take work to build up good technique and everything. So as a kid, I wanted to sing. My soul, it was like I was born to sing, but I definitely couldn't for a while. But I was determined to, and I annoyed my whole family with it. But you know, now I get to do it as my job, so I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, I did always want to be a singer. I just didn't really have the confidence to really pursue it until later, because I really suffered with like performance anxiety and just a lot of self-doubt, which honestly I still battle sometimes, but I feel like I'm a much stronger version of myself now, kind of thing. And music has become this vessel where I can take all the things that I've been through and like the things that I struggle with, put it into something that can help other people. And it's like that connection with other people kind of makes me strong as well, if that makes sense.
Listen, you know, I think all the great performers will still struggle with anxiety. I mean, look at Elvis Presley, for God's sake. You know, I mean, the greatest singer one of the greatest singers ever lived, and you know, and he would get anxiety before he went on stage. So I think it's natural. It's how you channel that anxiety and that energy into how you can get on that stage, really, isn't it? So okay, so what's been your lowest point? Because you've obviously gone through COVID with all this breakup. What's been the lowest point on that journey so far?
Oh boy. Yeah, there's been a few. Some dramas. I mean, getting ill with COVID when I got it was pretty bad. Like that was a pretty close call for me. I'm asthmatic anyway, right. But I didn't get it until things were opening up again. So I kind of think like I didn't let my guard down as such, but you know, people were outside socializing at that point, and then I got that Delta variant and ended up in hospital on, you know, a breathing machine and stuff, and It was very scary time, and it took me a long time to be able to get the strength back to sing. But even when I did, like, I couldn't do it like how I did it before. Like, it took me a really long time to recover, which is one of the reasons why, I mean, that and obviously the setbacks financially that lockdown kind of put me through as like the main person that financially supports the band. It's like me and basically the crowdfunding we do that has got us as far as we have. And our amazing fans that support it. That and the setbacks from that meant that we had to kind of push back the album recording for the vocals. Everything else was pretty much done. I mean, apart from maybe some electronic bits that I added in later. But I just didn't want it to be everything. I wanted it to be everything I imagined and nothing less. Especially as it was one of the things we crowdfunded, you know. If it wasn't for our fans supporting us to help create it, it wouldn't exist. So I had to make sure it was as perfect as it could possibly be for everyone that helped to make it a reality. And also because of what I guess it represented to me as in a personal sense, you know, it's kind of like a diary of what happened to me, and the process of grief of getting over my ex relationship with the person I was with, who I cannot name, but yeah, it was a very, very nasty experience, and I had to get over that trauma. And I think I completely just obsessively threw myself into creating the album, making it the best thing it could possibly be. Maybe even to distract myself from the pain I was feeling, kind of thing. It does catch up with you, by the way, though. It doesn't matter how much you push it down.
Oh God, it
will.
does. I mean, it does. So you mentioned crowdfunding then. So what platform did you crowdfund on? Was it like something like Indiegogo or something like that? Was it? Or
so there was a time where we did like a GoFundMe, but I think it was just Crowdfunder, the main one, for the main one we did. Because it ended up being like 2 phases. Because we didn't get the full amount that we needed the first time, but yeah, it's amazing.
How much did you raise?
Oh God! Now you put me on the spot. I'm like, it was over 20 grand. I could tell you that much. So I worked it out as well, like the amount that the album cost, like with all the music videos and recording costs and just everything that went into it. And this is without even paying the main producer, because he did it for love, my partner Peter, who does our live sound. It was like around the 100 grand mark because of how much everything costs. And we did we had a lot of favors. I did a lot of work as well. Like I taught myself vocal editing software, like how to use it as well. Did most of the recording of the backing vocals completely on my own, and just took that on to save the studio time, kind of thing, because it was we still had to rent a space to record in, even if we had the help of the producer for free type thing. And then obviously accommodation to have everybody there, and equipment that we needed and everything like that. So it adds up real quick in music. It's crazy.
So it's kind of interesting because we're in the crowdfunded business, but in board games. What do you give to your fans then? If I was to back your project, what as a backer, what do I get? I obviously get an album, but what do I get? Anything extra? Any bonuses? Any kind of what do I get for backing your project on a? I'd be kind of interested to find out what bands give to get incentivize people to back them.
I mean, we did some crazy things that other people suggested to us, like have dinner with us, a personal dinner, one-on-one, or we'll come and do a gig in your house. We did a couple of those, and that was really, really fun, actually.
And what was that pledge level? How much would somebody have to pledge it?
That was the biggest. That was, I think, like one of the biggest ones. That, or like that I could write a song for you, and I think that was like $1,000, because it was to like obviously cover us all to go there and play for the night and everything like that. So I mean, it was, a crowdfunder. That's why it was.
Oh no, absolutely not. I get it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine you have to limit it to like as long as you're in the UK, for example. But yeah.
Yeah. But we did smaller pledges, like, a limited edition signed poster, or the song meanings for the album, which, oh my God, I'm a bit late to the party bringing those out to everyone. But it was quite, I thought it would be fine for me to just write them all out, but it was like reliving it all. And then I've just been obsessively making sure that it reads well and that it's grammatically correct, and getting loads of people to check it before I send it to anyone. And it's just, yeah. But yeah, there were a bunch of different things, to be honest. And even just, we put the vinyls and the CDs on there. So if people wanted to buy them through that kind of means, then it was fine.
So did you do a pledge, to write somebody a song?
Yeah, but nobody actually did that. But I did another pledge for a cover song of your choice. So right. I'm going to be recording that shortly, actually, because I've just finished up recording vocals for some stripped versions of album 2 songs. And so now I'm going to move on to this cover that was bought as a pledge.
What cover? What was the cover?
Creep by Radiohead,
okay.
Which I used to play it on piano during lockdown. When we were at the studio, we used to do some there at this old studio that we were recording at the time. And yeah, he was like, I just really, really want that as a recording. So I'm going to see what, it won't just be piano, like I'm going to see what else I can add in, but you'll just have to wait and see if we might release it. Who knows?
Oh, please do, because that sounds like it would be absolutely awesome.
I don't know about you guys, I love that song. It's like one of my favourites.
Yeah, it's all right. So, so look, I could hog you all night, but if I do, I'll get a text of Trish going, "Oi, my turn." So Trish, it's the Trish White segment of the show. Trish, crack on, answer some questions. We might let Lauren ask a question or two as well.
Yeah, I will hand over to Lauren in a minute. I feel Lauren's questions are going to be a bit more emotionally questionable, so I'm going to sort of go music. So, who were your inspirations and what are your aspirations?
Oh, okay. Inspirations. I don't know if we've got enough time for me to read all of them out, but I'll just name a few off the top of my head. So, obviously, like before I started writing songs, I got into singing, and honestly, before I found rock music, I used to listen to Britney Spears and like Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, all these amazing singers. I was like, wow, how can they do that, Mom? I want to be able to do that. And then I got to about 10 years old, I think it was. And I remember seeing Nickelback on the TV and I was like, what are these things that they're playing with the strings on them? That's so cool. And it was just game over from that point, to be honest. From then, I don't know, I listened to everything from heavy metal to theatre, you know, like, but in terms of the people that influenced me in my writing, I'd say Flyleaf, one of my favourite bands of all time. If you haven't heard of them, I highly recommend you go listen. I didn't know until I saw them live that they're actually massively Christian, but that doesn't come across in their music at all. It sounds a lot like it's about mental health and things. And the singer, Lacey Sturm, is one of the most stunningly beautiful humans, like the way that she expresses herself. And she's got the ability to do this like really delicate, sweet vocal and then flip to a really gnarly scream thing. So definitely massively inspired by them. And then there's like the obvious ones like Evanescence, Amy Lee. I grew up on her. I was obsessed. I almost like feel weird bringing up Evanescence or Paramore because I feel like I'm always flattered to be compared to them, but it does feel like the go-to comparison for a woman in rock. And so I almost avoid bringing them up, but I do absolutely love both of those people. And then I would probably say just anything from the 90s, to be honest. Chris Cornell, anything he was involved in is gold. Hole, Nirvana, all that kind of era of bands. I listen to so much I can never listen them all. One more right now. I really love Spirit Box and Sleep Token right now. Yeah.
Will and Simon from our podcast went to see them last week.
Me too. I was there. My friend invited me.
They had an amazing time. And so, what are your aspirations?
So, I mean, you know, just obvious, like tour the world and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully write a banging third album. I'm gearing myself up to write again and excited to be creative again. And just keep the band growing. I want to reach more people and help more people. I feel like I've taken my time actually talking to fans about what the songs are about out of fear, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm kind of like going to be talking about it more and going into the future thinking about how to get that message across and kind of keep building this really strong community that the band seems to have already started creating, kind of thing. Just use music for good. And also, I mean, long term, my absolute dream is to build a studio if I could get the funds together at some point, and help the next lot of musicians that come through. I love writing songs and I'd really love to write for other people. So it feels like a bit of a minefield, like how you get into that. But I would love to do that in the long term for sure.
And what's the best advice that you've been given as a musician?
This is going to sound so depressing if I say it, but I mean it like in like a protective way. Well, there's a couple, there's probably a couple, but this Okay, if you expect everyone to not be able to do things to the standard that you would expect them to do them at, you're less likely to be disappointed. So like, don't expect too much, and kind of be prepared for having to do things for yourself, because that way you'll always be covered. Because even if it's not malicious, you know, people are busy living their own lives, and sometimes you need to be able to step up and figure that out for yourself. Is what I would say.
Okay, before I hand over to Lauren, I definitely want to say that I think you need to have a bit more belief in yourself and how much actually your lyrics and music actually do touch people, and you do bring stuff to people's lives, and just keep doing that.
Thank you, that really means a lot.
Okay, Lauren, over to you, chickadee.
Oh, how do I follow that, Trish? Apart from I'm a huge fangirl. Yeah, so like, first of all, was just super excited as soon as Trish came through to me and went, "You won't believe who I've landed an interview with." Like, only Marisa from Marisa and The Moths. And I was like, please do not joke with me right now, because I've been into you guys for quite a long time. And when the latest album came out on May, I think it was like start of May, like in last year. Yeah, I thought it was a personal gift to me, because my birthday is then. So I was like,
oh really?
Clearly I've been recognised for the fan I am.
Oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, one of the things I've really noticed is like your lyricism and stuff like that, like you've touched on it. It's so deep rooted in an experience and an emotion that it really fosters a connection with who you're with. So one of the things I'd really like to know about is like, how do you go about writing a song? Because that must be so difficult to pull from all these deep-seated emotional places and try and process that.
I always say that, like, it's quite frustrating. I feel like for me, like the writing process, I feel like I will have to wait for it to happen, because when it starts, it's like a writing frenzy for me. Like other writers that I've spoken to are like, oh, I write all the time. And I could if it was meaningless, if that makes sense. Like it was just a song for the sake of a song. Not that it wouldn't have meaning, but when it's the stuff that is for the Moths, when it's like part of this album and it's part of like this journey, it's like I tap into that place and it's just like it falls out of me kind of thing. But it's still hard, and there are still moments of frustration, and it's sometimes like I know that I hear a melody and I've got this melody, I've got like a verse or a chorus, and I can't finish it, and sometimes it will be like I have to sit it on the shelf, come back to it in a few months' time, and then I've got this other verse or other chorus, and actually they go really, really well together, and then the rest of it just sort of comes. But I mean, I generally, if I'm in the place where I need to write, like it is happening, like I write a lot of poetry, I sing a lot of random ideas into my phone on my voice memo app, and then and I'll be like jamming guitar ideas or piano ideas or whatever on my Logic computer software for music, just to like get my ideas down, and if inspiration strikes, then it will develop from there. However, I could be doing that all the time, and most of the time the song that will just come, and it's like it feels easy when it's like one of the ones that end up being the ones that we release. It's like me sat on my bed with my acoustic type vibe. Like even the heavier songs, there's a song called Just Like Me on our second album, which I don't think anyone would listen to and think that I wrote that on acoustic, but I did. All of it, like all the guitar, the rhythms, which are quite strange actually, on acoustic. So actually the majority of the songs were, obviously there are a couple songs on piano, so they were written on piano. Cursed is a song that's been brought up by you, Nigel. I wrote the second verse of that, sat in my car feeling really sad, waiting to see my beautician.
So you need a beautician? Get out of here.
Well, these brows don't just like shape themselves.
Oh, they do.
Okay?
They do. I don't believe that. They do. Yeah, I don't believe that. You get out of bed looking like this, I guarantee you.
I wish. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually can remember where I was when I wrote like all the songs, to be honest. It's such a like.
And do you write the lyrics first or the music first? Because most people seem to write the music and then the lyrics, but it sounds to me that you might be lyricist first.
It's a mixture, to be honest, and sometimes it kind of happens at the same time. Like example of that was Needy from the first album, which is like the opening track. It's a really simple song on guitar, so it probably helped, but I was falling asleep in bed and I just started to I was really upset. I'd had a really bad day, and like I heard something in my head. I was like, oh God, I don't want to have to deal with this now. Fine. Sort of rolled out of bed, sat on the floor with the guitar, and I was like not even thinking about what I was playing, and just sang the words and played the chords, and it just like I can only describe it as like sometimes it feels like it's happening to me, because I don't know music. I cannot read or write music. I have a degree in music, but it's purely for all the other stuff. Like I completely flunked the theory side of it. I'm terrible at that side of it. But yeah, I guess it's just having a lot of emotions. I've been called a very over emotional person for my entire life, so yeah. It's fine.
It's emotions is how you channel it, isn't it? And obviously you channel it into your music, and that's amazing. So, well, listen, we've talked a bit about the downside, but what's been the highlight? What's been the highlight of your journey so far?
Well, we got #1 in the UK rock charts last year, so that was amazing.
No, but that was surreal.
It was surreal, and I couldn't really accept it at the time. I was like, it was happening to someone else, kind of thing. And then we got the award, and I was like, oh my God, like we did it. So yeah, that felt super cool. And I mean, there's been so many highlights. I couldn't list them all, to be honest. And some of them aren't even when we're out doing crazy things like playing amazing shows, which I would list a lot of those, like playing Primordial General Mayhem a few years ago. That was one of my favorite gigs ever, and it was just like a magical gig. We opened for this festival. It was like, I think a couple thousand people there. It was like our biggest indoor thing that we'd done at the time, and we were all scared shizzleless backstage. And we went out there and just gave it some, and it was just like this out of body experience, amazing. But every show is so stressful before. I don't think I'm ever not just worried, and I don't like talking to people before shows because of it, and I avoid it now because I realised that it doesn't help my energy. I need to like channel it. But as soon as the show's over, I'm like, yeah, let's hang out. I love it. Yeah, every show ever has been the highlight. I love that, and the recording experience. It's amazing hearing your songs come to life. It is sometimes, I mean, if you've been in the studio with a band or watched like a video vlog of the process, there are some moments where there will be some frustrations, but it's incredible. And like it's sort of all encompassing, like you get completely into it, and it's like the outside world doesn't exist anymore, kind of thing. So that's amazing. It's such an honor to be able to do that kind of stuff. But for me, if I'm completely honest, I think the biggest highlights have been like the people, and I mean that in the sense of like the people that I've been honored to like meet and them tell me their really personal stories because of how the music's affected them, and seeing the friendships that have been made through our band community. That kind of started more, I guess, when we were doing the live streams through lockdown. So, as bad as some things were with that, there were a lot of good things that came out of it as well. But yeah, just I think it's the thing I'm actually most proud of about our band when is the community that's built up around it. It's just so many amazing people that seem to have like come into our space, and that part is the best.
Sorry, Lauren, I did jump in. Did you have any more? Questions?
No, shit, not right.
I only had like two main other ones, which was just like, so one that's slightly heavier, and then we'll end on a light one because that's nicer. So like obviously you say about like your music and how, like we've said, the connections and all that sort of thing. if you could like almost, it's a big ask, but if you could almost encapsulate, like, if someone was to listen to What Doesn't Kill You or the self-titled first album, what would you hope people would take away from that, having listened to it?
Even when you feel most alone, you're not the only person, and it's easy to think you're the only one suffering. And it's like, I think a thing that happens with depression and mental health in general is that you think you're suffering alone, no one else wants to know, there's nothing that can help you, and there's no point in trying to reach out for help. And like, that is one of the main things that I would hope that at the end of it they'd be like, wow, okay, this person doing this thing and putting themselves out there clearly has been through it, but is standing strong at the other side of it. But, you know, to feel empowered by that as well, and to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and like that these things are passing. I was actually talking, I have a Patreon, and I was doing a little live stream for them the other day, and I was talking about a counsellor that I saw a few years ago. It really helped me, and there's something that she said to me that stayed with me, and I'm now going to get a tattoo based around this or influenced around by it. But she said to me that the sky is always blue, and it's so profound, because it's kind of just that reminder that the clouds that might completely distort your view of the sky, because they're your emotions, right? Like, it might make your sky grey, but behind that, the sky is still blue. Like, that's the truth of the matter. And your emotions can make you feel like something is a way that it maybe isn't. And you just got to have faith that you can get through it, because in no time they'll be gone and the sky will be clear again, kind of thing. So I know that some of my songs, if you listen to the lyrics and you're not just there to like jam to the music, it is dark. There are moments like that, but then there are some really like powerful moments. Like, I'm not gonna take this, because I talk as well about my experiences with emotional abuse, having been through some abusive relationships, and like, it's like that, no, I'm breaking free from that, and no, I'm not going to let my own insecurities have the better of me, and I'm going to grow and learn from this and become stronger and a better version of myself. So I just hope that people are inspired by that and can take something from kind of hearing my very exposed experience, I guess.
Well, I would definitely agree with that. Like, having heard you sort of like say that and put that into words, I mean, sort of like, these guys both know who are here, like, I've been on my own journey over the past however many years and stuff like that, and it's listening to your music and like some of the other bands that I know I listen to and some of the other people I know listen to, it's such a sense of catharsis, and you can really tell the craft work and the pure, like, just unadulterated emotion that goes into it. You can really tell that you've worked at what you've done, and you enjoy what you're doing, even if it means having to pull open a few wounds to make sure they heal properly again. And it's what gave me and Trish that really beautiful moment at that gig in Portsmouth. And it was just like I can come across as really flippant about the things that I've been through, and very like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm crazy, yeah, don't you know that? And it's one of those things where then having those moments of vulnerability that your music helps people to do is just absolutely fantastic, be it listening to it in a crowded room or listening to it on one of the many vinyl and CDs available that you can get, that I would highly recommend. I think you're just doing that so well, and I just can't commend you enough for it, because everyone can be that angsty teenager in their room writing, hoping to do something, but to then put it out there just takes so much strength. So I totally commend you for that. Like, power to you, my fellow woman of rock. To end my little questions on a slightly lighter note though, Marisa and the Moths, are you just a fan of the Nighttime Butterflies? Where did that come from?
Oh, okay. So, it's This will be an anticlimax to this because I actually just I misheard something that Liam said when we were discussing potential band names. So we had a terrible temporary first band name because we were like, well, we're going to do this first acoustic gig that was low key just to get a vibe, you know, do something in front of some people. We were called Bad Mouth temporarily. It was a temporary name, okay, guys, don't charge. Well, I misheard Liam when we were suggesting some band names. I thought he said Marisa and the Moths as a joke, and then I thought he said moths. So I was like, oh, I love that because, you know, a moth is like a butterfly, but it's like the dark nighttime version. And it's kind of like dark but still fragile. And we've got those like lighter moments that we're still heavy in a rock band and stuff. And I also like symmetry. And I've also kind of been obsessed with kind of moths and butterflies since I was a really little girl. So, and I was like, I can see like the logo now. And he said, I didn't say that, but yeah. Cool.
Yeah, go with it. Well, we're going to run with that one. So
yeah.
So come on, your favourite track off the album from last year?
Sorry.
What's your favourite track off your latest album? What's your number one track? Favorite. What track do you look forward to most performing?
It really depends what mood I'm in, man. You know, but you brought up Pedestal earlier, and we put it in the set again in the last run that we did, and I was like, oh, I miss playing this one live because there's something about it where it's kind of the groove of it is just really freeing. So I really like that.
Pedestal,
I like
Pedestal is fine. I mean, yeah, it was one of my favourite tracks, and I'm always right. So that's absolutely fine. So let's plug your tour then. So you're on tour. So where are you going to be playing? So let's try and get a few more bodies there for you.
Yeah, oh gosh, we've got quite a few different places. The first of the run will be Nuneaton and then Preston, but we've got London, Byford, Plymouth, oh my gosh, now I'm like forgetting everything. Oh, Swansea, Wolverhampton, yeah, it's Wolverhampton. Leeds, Newcastle, I'm definitely forgetting some. What am I forgetting? I can't believe that I can't list them all right now, but have a look on our website.
Absolutely,
we're going around a few different places.
So listen, the album, the number one on the UK rock chart, well, it got to number one, so go and check out Marisa and the Moths. Marisa, you're obviously apparently Italian, is that right? I would, or you have Italian heritage.
Yeah, my dad's half Italian, half Spanish, and then my mum is half Scottish, half English, so right. I'm a bit of a mongrel.
Mongrels are the best, so you know.
I think so.
Well, listen, Marisa, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for sharing the journey with you. I can't make Wolverhampton, but I certainly would. Definitely, you're right in my sweet spot for melodic kind of rock with almost a symphonic voice. Not quite, but I think you could get up there. Just keep the screamo to a minimum, if you want my opinion. Screamo to a minimum, you know. Just like don't worry about that. Don't worry about the screamo. It's fine, you know. Just maybe on your own time. Just like
yeah.
Anyway, it takes all sorts. Listen, thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. We do hope that journey continues. We do hope we get to interview again, maybe on album 3, and we get to review that album. That'll be absolutely amazing. So thank you very much. Good luck with the tour, and you know, good luck with everything. And thank you very much for sharing your journeys. Thank you very much to Lauren and to Trish for joining tonight, and big thank you to Marisa. Good luck. Thank you very much. All the best. And keep rocking out, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Peace and love. Bye.